Are all successful entrepreneurs extrovert? No. Introverts too. This is Mission at Night, no bullshit business. Hi, welcome to Mission at Night. Here, we uncover the no bullshit stories from successful individuals and ignite your dream to success. As so many businesses, we are always concerned about the P&L, the balance sheets. So, why not ask the subject matter expert who has turned that into a business? Today, our guest is none other than Gooi Chi Yih. He is the director of the CFO Accounts Services Private Limited. He has an extensive background in accounting and finances and has built a reputation as a trusted advisor, helping businesses streamline their financial operations. His entrepreneurial journey has been filled with challenges, but through his perseverance and innovative approach, he has grown CFO Accounts into a respected name in the Singapore financial services industry. So, hearing from the accounting and financing expert, welcoming Chi.
Hello, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. So, why don't you tell our audience, right? Who are you and what company do you do?
Okay, so my name is Chi Yih. I'm basically an accountant, so I run my own accounting firm. So my firm actually does accounting, corp sec, tax, payroll services. We also do audit. Recently, we also venture into setting up a family office, helping family office do the accounting, tax compliance, MES compliance, and we also start to do merger acquisitions.
Well, that is a lot of things that you are doing.
Yeah.
So walk me through, because you have went through 6 different departments, right? Give me a little bit of snapshot of what does each department do, because I think for our audience out there who might not be familiar with accounting, right? It will be good for them.
Okay. Basically, normally the basic services that a company need will be like accounts, because every company you need to maintain your accounts, and then you need to actually file your annual return. So when you do the incorporation, that's where the company secretarial services comes in, because as a company you need to have a company secretary in your company under the ACRA officer listing. And then so the officer, the CorpSec will actually do the maintenance of the company's statutory records, like who are the officer, who are the shareholders, whether there's any changes. And then on an annual basis, they'll need to hold AGM for the company board, and then to file AGM and annual return. So, and then for the tax, so every company, you do business, you do accounts, you make money, you have to pay your taxes, right? So every year you have to file your corporate income tax with IRAS. And if your company revenue is more than $1 million, so it's compulsory that you need to register for GST.
Right.
So GST, you need to file your GST at least quarterly. So this is what we do to help the clients. So this one form the basic of the services as required by all companies in Singapore. So, and then certain company, if you require statutory audit because you are more than 10 million, or because you need to comply to certain agency, then that the audit services we can also provide. So as the business grow, as the clientele grow, so naturally some clients, they want to go to either they want investor to come in to raise funds through investor funds, or they may want to acquire company to expand their business, or towards when the business owner wants to retire, they may want to sell the company. That is where the merger acquisition comes in. So merger acquisition in short, we call it M&A. Yeah. So recently Singapore as a country also attracts a lot of wealthy individual.
Yes.
So Singapore giving the wealthy families some tax incentives, so they may want to come in to set up their family office. So this is where we are able to come in to help this wealthy family set up a family office and then maintain their accounting, ACRA, IRAS, and because as a family office, they are licensed under MAS. So they also need to do the MAS compliance annually. So
Right.
these are the things that we can provide.
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of things that you are able to do, right? And let's dive down to each of his arms slowly. So for the accounting side of things, right? I hear you that companies need to track their P&Ls and things like that. But most of our people who are entrepreneurs out there, right? They'll probably ask two questions. Number one is actually, if let's say I'm a private limited company, I see there's a need for it. But if let's say I'm a sole, do I need to do that?
Okay.
When is the line that I will need such services?
Okay. So sole proprietor actually by law, as long as you are running a business, by law you need to do your accounts. It's just that a lot of so many sole proprietor businesses, they are generally very small. So they just do their simple accounts and then they file their taxes, and because the amount is so small, so it doesn't attract much attention.
Right.
But having said this, is that by law, every business or company actually needs to maintain accounts. Yeah.
So when you talk about when you need to maintain an account, because some of them say actually I'm just a small enterprise, right? My accounts are actually quite small, right? If I have no money to do and hire a accountant on my own, and therefore I engage CFO services. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So when in terms of accounting, what other things that you guys can provide for them? Because I understand you guys also have like other accounting software and services that actually help the clients as well.
So nowadays, I think most of the people should be on cloud accounting softwares already. So normally using the cloud accounting software, so the productivity part is that there's a lot of operating transactions that we can actually train the business entrepreneurs themselves or even their admin to actually use the software to key into the software. So in a way, the productivity is that come to year end, you don't need to give us all the documents and then we have to key in again into the system. So
Right.
pretty much the information are all inside. So we can just come in to help to help wrap up the accounts. And then because in accounting terms, there's certain transactions that is so-called accounting transactions we need to put through in order to properly close a set of accounts. So that is the part that we come in to help, because normally if you are non-accounting graduates, you may not be able to know all this. So then that's where we come in. We help to wrap it up, and then once you have the accounts, you are good to go for your tax filing and to go for your annual return filing.
So over here, I'm curious because we did talk about a lot of it are sole proprietary, private limited. What about self-employed?
Self-employed, normally they just need to keep track of their own income and expenses, and then because self-employed is not a business per se, so it's just like maybe like you say a Grab driver. So the company actually pays to him personally. It doesn't pay to a business per se. So normally the tax filing part is different because theirs is under individual tax. Although sole proprietor also tax at individual level,
Yeah.
but actually there is a part whereby it's a business, so you have to fill in more information with regards to the detail of the business, and then they have a 4-liner whereby you need to fill in like revenue, profit, and such. But I think for those like freelance, or they don't need to fill in all this, so they don't need to actually keep accounts per se.
So I'm curious because we in Singapore we have a lot of self-made millionaires, people who are self-employed, whether or not they are financial consultant or whether or not they are actually property agents, right? And they earn by the millions, right? For people like them, do you think that a proper accounting needs to be done? That's number one. Number two, should they even require to engage services like you to actually help them?
Okay, I think, if you say people like real estate agents, insurance agent, yes, they make a lot of money, right? So pretty much because the income part, because they are tagged to a company. They are tagged to an insurance company or real estate company. So the income is already tracked by the company. So they'll issue the income statement to you and whatever. But what is the difficult part is normally is the expenses that they incur in the course of doing their work. Because I'm sure, like, for example, an insurance agent, they will always invite the client for coffee and then they talk in the
for
cafe
meals and
or
all.
meal. So normally they will keep the receipt. But problem is the receipt when they come to the end of the year,
You will fade, right?
it will fade. And then it's a huge bundle of paper.
Yes.
Yeah, so what we do is that we suggested them to actually, okay, you use this accounting software to keep track, whereby you are able to scan it using your phone app, because the software comes with an app. So you can use the app in your phone, scan it, and it goes into the software itself. So with this, the paper, you don't need to keep the paper. And
you can throw away the paper
fades.
already.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it will never fade. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. So by doing that, so it's more systematic. And then if you do it over the one whole year, rather than you come to tax filing season, then you give your accountant a
One
whole
chunk
shoebox.
shoebox. That's a good way to put it.
Chuck into a shoebox, and then the accountant got to spend time to tidy up. Got to, if it's fixed, got to see it, got to make up what is the number.
Right.
So that will take a lot of time.
Yeah. So now I want to talk about irritating things, right? As an accountant, I'm sure you face irritating clients. Things that you hope that your clients will have done it properly, right? And I heard a few things like, keeping your receipts properly and things like that. Maybe in the question here I have for you, right, for companies, private limiteds and things like that, what was one thing that you wish that they could have done better, right? Or a myth that actually they think they actually don't need to do one, but end up you guys are doing it.
Basically, some clients, they like to charge their own personal expenses into the company. So, I mean, if you do it too much, then sometimes it may cause some difficulty for us, because rightfully, whatever expenses that you want to claim against the income is only expenses that you incur in
during the company
cost of doing the business.
Right.
So
of course, a meal with my clients, all these things, those are allowed.
Yeah,
right?
those are legit.
business. But a meal with my family, then those are no go lah.
Correct. So sometimes we see receipts that you're buying groceries. Then we are thinking, what is this grocery got to do with the business?
Groceries. So what, they buy milk and then they just put inside the business.
Or sometimes
but what if
put diaper into the business?
Diaper?
I think that is a bit
curious.
ridiculous.
So if let's say, like for example, big companies like Google, they have a pantry where they give you under staff welfare, they buy like one whole fridge of Cokes, milks and things like that. Those are business expenses, yes?
Yes, those are business. So normally for larger setup, of course, the internal process, the internal control, they are already in place. So of course, you can't anyhow just the director, you cannot just claim anything from the company, because there's an internal process already. But for smaller business, so because the director controls everything, whatever you want to put, you can put. There's no internal process to stop him. So I even encounter a question by my client is that, hey, I'm getting married next month. Can I put the banquet expenses into the company? That is a most. That is a most.
But that's definitely a no, right?
Yeah, of course. As the accountant, I mean, we are supposed to advise a client professionally. So and normally, because if you're talking about banquet expenses, it's probably a very significant amount.
Yes.
So if you put a very small amount, maybe people may not detect, or it will be too small to even attract attention. But if you put a banquet expenses into it, I think that's a bit overboard.
Wow, that's very interesting. Wow,
So
so
sometimes they're getting overly creative.
overly creative. Oh, that's a good way to put it. So, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, please don't be overly creative, right? Do listen and seek accountants, right, on
Yeah.
what you need to put in properly, right? Which now I'm curious. So, okay, for the fun of it, if let's say things are not done properly, right? Usually, what are there any penalties or fines from the government?
Okay, so if things are not done properly, normally when it comes to the tax preparation part, we will actually review all the expenses. I mean, if some expenses is really overly exaggerated, it doesn't make sense. I mean, we may actually advise a client, this one is better to take out and not to claim against the income. Because if you claim against the income, if IRAS spotted this and come back with a tax query, so if this amount get added back subsequently, it may attract additional penalties and late interest. So
they will have penalties and there's late interest as well.
Yes, because if you claim expenses that is not rightful for the business,
right?
Basically you are under declaring your income.
Yes.
So by that, in a way, is tax evasion. So of course, tax evasion is something that is something
major by law.
Major by law and punishable.
Yep.
So that's where they may slap you with a fine, and because you need to pay this additional income tax after the income tax submission deadline, then that will attract a late interest. So normally we will not encourage our client to do it. Yeah.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, right? It's not just fun to, do creative ways to evade the tax, but the consequences after that, right? It's way a lot more. You have late penalties, you have fine, right? I heard that sometimes there's even jail term, is that right?
Well, if it's too serious, and then if the government want to make you an example to the rest of the community, maybe they'll give you a harsh penalty and put it on the newspaper. That's how Singapore tax authority do it. Right?
Yeah, so there you go, right? Please don't evade tax, right? Do seek proper advice. Make sure that every single line item in your accounting P&L are done properly.
Yeah. We do it the right way within the legal framework. So that's how we normally help the client to make their tax more efficient.
Right. Yeah. So now we talk about tax and accounting, right? And just now you did mention that you have another arm which is M&A, right? Merger and acquisition. Yeah. How did that come about?
Okay, I think basically as an accounting firm grow naturally, as our clientele base grow, I think it's just a natural progression, because as the company, our client grow over time, their business grow over time, it will come to a time whereby the business owner, maybe they want to expand further, and expansion will need additional capital. So they may want to look for investors, right? Or if they plan to retire, they may want to encash, they want to monetize
sell away their company,
sell their business, and then get a sum of money whereby they can retire comfortably. Yeah, so I think this kind of M&A activity is just a natural progression for
and those
accounting firm.
Mostly in Singapore, or rather, as in like these are Singapore owners, Singapore investors, or are they from overseas?
It can be. I mean, it can be from. It can be like local companies whereby a foreigner wants to buy, or because recently, like we have this case whereby a local company was approached by a foreign investor who is keen to buy their business because they have a manufacturing facility in Malaysia. So this may be sometimes, like, due to geopolitical situation and such. I mean, this kind of opportunity will come because when companies, they want to diversify their risk by putting more manufacturing base outside of China, then they may start looking at, because right now Southeast Asia is an up and coming economy zone, so they may start looking at this area for potential partners and business to buy, so that they can immediately have the manufacturing facilities here.
Right. So in terms of M&A, so walk me through here. So let's say today I'm interested to sell my company. So I engage you guys. You guys will come in, evaluate my company,
Yes.
and say, okay, this company is worth how many million, 50 million, right? And then you put it out and find buyers to sell,
Yeah.
right? And of course, once we have a right buyers, the communication done, and think that, okay, this is a good buyers that I'm willing to sell to, and I'll sell to this buyer. And of course, you will ensure that all the paperwork, the lawyer ship, the actual change of ownership are done in proper in Accra and everything else.
So in terms of M&A, of course, there's a process to go through. I mean, depending on what kind of scale, and then what sort of buyer and what kind of seller. Because if we talk about institutional investor, of course, they are very stringent. They'll go through a proper process of the merger and acquisition. But if say it's a maybe the boss's friend want to buy over, so the whole process may be more simple. Is in terms of some negotiation. Of course, first of all, you must always look at the financials, and then you have to know what is the ballpark figure that you want and you're looking at and realistic. So then from there, then that's where the whole process gets started. So if you are just selling to a friend or to a friendly investor, it could be a more simple process.
Right.
But if you're talking about like a more proper setup, a bigger quantum, dealing with institutional investor, then the process may be more tedious and more, you have to do it a more thorough way.
So normal. Okay, so I'm very curious here. Normally, right, for a M&A process, right, I always hear it takes years. Is it true?
It may or may not, but sometimes it takes years because it may be a case whereby the seller is not ready to sell. Right? So if sometimes M&A cases is very difficult to realize because, I mean, first of all, I think seller will have a lot of attachment to the business.
Yes.
And then some of them, when we say they are not ready, is that they may think that, the business, the value is so much higher than what was being offered
on the table, right?
In the market. So in such cases, I mean, it may never even get close at all because simply, I mean,
disagreement is too big.
The gap between buyer and seller is just too big to close. Yeah.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen out there, right, if you have anything that you guys want to sell or anything that you want to purchase, right, you can look for Chi Yih here.
Yeah.
Probably the best guy to actually advise you and probably get, right, the M&As that you're looking out for. Yeah, also that's very interesting. So now I'm going to pull you out for the business, right, and I want to ask you on a personal note, how do you become an entrepreneur? How do you start off CFO?
I think very much because I think from young, because my family is also, my father is doing business, so in a way it has sort of influenced me because during my school holiday I go to his company to work. So then so he told, I mean, he always encouraged me to be own entrepreneur, and then when I came out to work, so I started as an auditor. So I was a very hard working auditor. So I'm able to churn out a lot of jobs for my boss. So one day I was walking and I was thinking, I was calculating, one day I could actually generate my 1 month's pay. So I'm like, for the rest of the day of that month,
I'm just relaxing.
I'm actually helping to make money for my boss.
Oh wow, that's first.
So I work one day to pay myself, and I work the rest of the
28 days, 29 days to pay the boss.
To for my boss and my manager. So I thought, hey, I mean, if I can, of course, I want to do my own business. Yeah, and then of course I read a lot of self-enrichment book after my education, tertiary education. So I think that really opened up my mind and made me think differently.
So when you first step out and quit your job to set off CFO, how scary was it?
Okay, definitely. If you want to do anything like that, I mean, it's very important that you do your own calculated risk. And also you need to prepare because, when I came out and set up CFO that time, I was already married with 2 children.
Oh wow,
So,
that's a huge leap of faith.
Yeah. So 2010, when I set up, that is a year that my daughter is born. So 2012, I came out full time. That's a year that my son is born.
Wow.
So definitely, the financial burden is that you really got to do your own financial calculation, your risk management, your cash flow planning before you actually come up and start. Okay.
So when you did that, right? I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty, or you are very sure that it's gonna work.
Okay. Basically, I think I chose to go into a trade that I am very confident of, and I know that I can do it. So it's only a matter of time to build it up. So it's only being able to come in, to sustain that period. So to actually build back the income that I have sacrificed. Because when I was under employment, I was making X amount of money. I was a group finance manager already, so I was having a regional role. So definitely that pay is quite a big gap
Yes.
to fill in. So you need to actually plan properly. So you make sure you can sustain this runway. Then in order to make it, yeah.
So I'm curious, right? You can choose not to tell me, right? You can tell me is, so you said that when you're as a group finance manager, and then when you start off, there's a gap, right? In terms of pay.
Yeah.
How long do you take to bridge this gap?
It takes years.
Years.
Yes.
You have passed that, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, I've passed that, fortunately.
Way past it, I'm sure. Right. So years. Wow.
Yeah. So so that is the kind of sacrifice that you have to prepare. You have to prepare to give. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're on the topic of sacrifice and all, right? And you did mention that you sacrificed your very stable job and pay as a group regional finance manager, right? What else did you sacrifice as you embark your entrepreneurship journey?
Of course, when you're working, you have a stable pay. You have some investment. Every month is quite comfortable. So every month you can afford to do shopping. You can afford to buy 1 or 2 luxury items. So then, of course, when you come up, you have to be more prudent. You cannot spend like you want it.
So finance was important, was bad. What about time? Was time the same as corporate, or you put in more time or lesser time?
Well, I think if you are working for people, I think you are compelled to work, right? So but when you are working on your own, it's based on your own motivation. So I don't think I work less than when I'm under employment right now. But I think today I work is because I want to work. It's not because I have to work. So I think that is the main difference. So, and then I think in order to be an entrepreneur, I always tell them, I always tell people, I say, working is actually easier than starting your own business. Because today, like I'm an accountant, today I'm working as an accountant. I just make sure that, whatever my boss tell me to do, I do it, or I can do it better than his expectation. Then I'm already doing my job. So at the end of the day, I expect myself to get paid. So as what was agreed, not a cent more, not a cent less, but I want as per what is
was agreed in the contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if today you are starting your own business, I mean from A to Z, you have to think about it. You have to think about, how to find your customer, how to service your customer, your operations, your cash flow, even at the beginning, because I only have, including me, is 3 men in the company. So if the toilet is dirty, I have to wash the toilet. So I always tell people, starting your own business is not easy, but you really need to have the passion to drive you.
So the passion does help to push and motivate you.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you talk about that, I heard that, the passion is to drive. But what about supporting factors? Right, because I think you took a big leap of faith, right? And then your kids were only two of them at a very, very young age. One just born and then one just 2 years old.
Yeah.
Right? How was your wife then?
Well, I think, of course, support of the family is also very important. So, I mean, my parents, my wife, all actually agreed that I should come out and start. Yeah, because I think during that time, I mean, working is also not easy because at that point of time I have a regional role, so I travel a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So if I start my own company, I don't need to travel so much.
Manage your own time.
Manage my own time.
What about key partners then?
Okay, of course key partners are very important because with more people, you can have more economies of scale. I mean, everybody just do one part of the work and then the whole company can benefit. Right? I mean, if you are alone, you are sole proprietor, then pretty much you have to do everything, including cleaning the toilet. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you talk about, everything you do on your own, things that you probably have your lowest point. So now I'm curious, what was your lowest point? And then how did you actually climb out from it?
I think I started CFO with one partner. So because and then along the way, because the different thinking, then I actually bought the shares back. So for a while, I was actually operating as a single partner company. But then I was thinking, okay, should I just stay this way or should I continue to expand my business? So because at the point of time, I think as a single partner, whatever the revenue is comfortable for me. But then at that point of time, I also thinking, wow, if I stay status quo, then my employees, they will not have a future.
Right.
Because if I don't want to grow anymore, that means that is only
That's the tip really.
That's their ceiling already.
Yeah.
So in order for them to grow further, then they will need to move on to a bigger company with a bigger role to play. Then if they do that, then I'm stuck with another problem of staff turnover. So forever, I have to deal with staff turnover, retraining, and things like that. So then there's a Chinese saying, so I relate doing business as this Chinese idiom is that 逆水行舟，不进则退。So I don't know whether
逆水行舟，
不进则退。So
what does it mean?
I see that business is like you are actually rolling the boat against the current. If you do not continue to advance, you will only be pushed back
by the currents.
Yeah.
Right.
So then I say, I think business is like that. So because of this, I'm going to continue to expand my business. So then I started to offer and then the other thing is that us as a professional accountant, then professional accountant, we normally only have in my view, we only have two pathways for our career. One is either you can climb the corporate ladder, or if not, you go out and set up your own
company, your own firm.
So then I say, so there might be like-minded people who are working for me that may want to pursue my pathway. So then I open up, I offer to my staff to say that, okay, I have this pathway. So if you want, we can actually partner up. And then because right now I've set up the platform already, so over here it's very easy for you to set up yourself. So
you can build your own business, leveraging on you.
Yeah. So that is where I open up, and then there are like-minded people who join me. So over time, after 14 years, the company is still growing because my side, I may not be growing, I may be complacent, or I may be growing a little bit. But then when they start up, they will actually experience explosive growth, and that is what drives the company to still continue to grow after 14 years. Yeah.
Wow, that is where you actually keep make sure that the expansion goes non-stop. right? So that's where the money earns when you're still sleeping, right?
And then there's always this excitement of growing the business, because I think the exciting part is that the business is growing. But then if the business is stagnating, it's like, then every day is just any other day. So I think there's less excitement.
Yeah, so when you talk about excitement, because I think not many accountant might felt that way. Because most accountants say, actually, I'm happy with my mandate job, right? I like when the accounts comes in, everything else comes in, I'm happy to key in all the things, go through it. And they say that, I think entrepreneurship are for extroverts, right? What do you say about that?
Oh, I don't think, I think by nature, most of the people are introvert. I don't really see a lot of extrovert people by nature. And of course, I think accountants are naturally introvert people. So, but then sometimes in order to do your business, you got no choice, but you really got to push yourself out of the comfort zone. So, I even learned, because I mean, I see the accountants in our education, something that's very lacking is the human skill, because for me, I actually studied double major, so in accounting and finance. So you can imagine how hardcore is a subject.
Yes,
so
it
it
is.
talks about, accounting talks about ethics, law, standards. Then finance, we talk about financial modeling, all this. So I find that I don't really have the chance to study a lot of subjects that deal with human emotions. I don't do sales. So after my education, I actually, because I start reading an enrichment book, and I do realize that, hey, this is my shortcoming. So in order to do that, I actually did some MLM. Because
you did MLM as well?
I did MLM before.
Just to brush out your sales skills?
Yeah.
Wow.
So because if today you can't sell your product and services, how can you run your own business? Right? So I think it's basically if you want to pursue that pathway, you have to be prepared to, push yourself out of your comfort zone and do whatever an entrepreneur, that to acquire the skill that an entrepreneur needs to have.
So spoken, right, as a true entrepreneur, as you guys heard from Chi Yih, right? If you can't even sell your own products, right, how can you even make a business out from it? And that's it. Who say introverts can't be business owners? You can. Look at here, accountant, right? The full bloom entrepreneur doing very, very, very well. Right. So when we talk about introverts, we talk about sales and all. So now let's touch on the topic of networking, because it's scary, right? For introverts, it's scary for any business owners, right, to go out and network. Right. How is networking? How important is networking to you?
Well, of course, I see networking is very important. It's not just on client acquisition. It may be building up your resources as well. So for me, I'm very fortunate. I joined this networking platform. So that helps a lot, because in this networking platform, everybody is there to network. And everybody in my network actually say we are all introverts. But because over here, we know that we need to network, and everybody is prepared to open up to networking to each other. So I think this platform really provide a lot of support for us. Yeah.
So with networking, does it help your company grow tremendously?
Definitely. So of course, I don't only use networking to grow my business. I also uses other marketing activities to. But I think no matter what, you need to be doing networking in order. You cannot just solely rely on one or the other method, but you need to have a mixture of marketing activities to do client acquisition, because sometimes if this one doesn't work out well, the other side is working. So in a way, you diversify your resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about mentorship? right? I think in your life 14 years or even before your corporate ladder, were there any mentors for you, and how important is mentorship to you?
Well, I think mentors can be everywhere. So, of course, along the way, I also get to know people. Like where I get to know my client, very successful businessman. So from his end, I also learn a lot of things from him. So what is good, you do. What is not good, you don't do. Okay. So I also do a lot of self-enrichment reading. So also sometimes you read newspaper article about a successful entrepreneur. So things that they say, you may just be able to pick up one or two ideas, but you apply back. I mean, it will actually bring you a long way. So and then right now, because I also on this networking platform, there is a very successful business model. So they have a rich resource of a lot of resource on the education part. So
Right.
that one will have a ready resource for me to tap on whenever I need it. So you really have to look all over the place, keep an open mind. So sometimes even from a conversation with somebody, you can actually learn one or two things from one another. And then right now, because our peers of networker, we are all business owners. So sometimes we do share business idea, we discuss, and then we brainstorm together. So that's how we do it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so there you go, guys. Right. Always keep an open mind. Open up your ears, right? For you never know what you will pick up and learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a successful entrepreneur now, right, what are some of the most important lessons that you have learned that actually help you throughout your whole years of entrepreneurship? Boss, you did mention that you meet with people, you do networking, you do a lot of self-studies. What are some core lessons that you've learned?
I think right now something that I hold very dear to me is that I think sometimes not everybody can be partners, but I think we need to have, okay, for us we live by a certain core value that we behave. So I think it's very important to identify your partners with the right core values.
Right.
Because if you work with somebody without the right value, the business could be working, the business could be profitable, but still partnership can go into
fail.
dissolution,
Right.
go into a failure. So because right now, for me, I'm also not getting younger anymore. So I do treasure.
You still look
my
very
time.
young, don't worry. If you didn't tell me you have 2 kids in 2 rows, I wouldn't have known that you are that old, Chi.
So I think right now is that I do treasure my time. So I want to put my time into the best use. So identifying the right people to work with so that we do not waste time if whatever that you work on do not work out.
So what are these values that you're looking out for?
Basically there's 7 core values I look at.
7? Wow.
7. So right now I implemented this. This is from my networking group. So I implemented it back into my I took this idea and I implemented it back into my own organization.
Wow.
So the 7 core value is givers gain.
Givers gain.
Givers gain.
Okay, what's that?
So the thing is that you have to believe that by giving you can actually gain it. So not everybody have this mindset. Somebody is just a taker's mindset. So they only want to come in and take. They refuse to contribute to give. Right. So for us, we know that this kind of people cannot work with. Okay.
But it's only one-sided always.
Yeah. Because I think givers gain, you'll be more collaborative then if you are willing to collaborate, then there's ways for us to partner together to win together. Okay, then
second one?
Second one is we want people that is positive. So positivity is one of it. And then building relation. People who believe in building relationship.
Okay.
So a lot of times business is done through relationship building. So when the relationship is being built, is built, and then business will come naturally for sure.
Right.
So you don't need to be so hard up, just go in, you want to close sales, want to do the business.
Just want to just close it and I'm done with it.
Yeah.
No, but it's about building a relationship slowly and then the sales will come in, flow in eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the fourth one is actually recognition. So the ability to recognize the other person's effort is so important, because when it comes to a business partnership, right, it's basically if you don't know how to recognize your partner's effort, I think end of the day you become very self-centered. You only see whatever you put in, and you say that, I work more, I must be paid more, and then it causes a lot of conflict. But if today, if we start learning to appreciate one another, so I think with this, the whole partnership is more sustainable, because today you don't just see yourself, you see what value the other people has put in, and you have the appreciation for it.
Right.
Okay.
Give credits when it's due.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
the fifth? So you have
givers gain, positivity, building relationship, recognition. So innovation. So you I think right now business environment is always changing. So you definitely need to be very innovative to in order to cope with the changes of the business. Because you just look at accounting over the 14 years, the way we do things at the year one and now is
very different.
So different already.
Especially when technology advances, right?
Yeah, correct. So our process is always evolving. So if today you cannot evolve, you may be out of the business, right? So and then
the sixth one.
So the number 6 one is accountability. So I think basically in anything, even if you are working for people, I think accountability is very important, because today you have to be a responsible person in doing your work. Okay, so if this person has no responsibility, basically we cannot use this person.
Yeah, I agree.
And the number 7 is lifelong learning. Because I think even in today's education, we cannot focus on just going through the primary school, secondary school, tertiary education, and you think that, that's it, that's the end of my learning journey, I'm going to work. But I always tell people that after your tertiary education, that is where the learning begins. Because right now there's in the information technology era, there's so much new things coming out every year. So if today you don't have this lifelong learning mentality, I think it's really quite difficult to progress in your life.
Right. Yeah, wow. So actually those 7 values are actually very, very powerful values. Right? So to you guys out there who are listening this, you might want to adopt these values, because I think those are powerful values to not just enrich your entrepreneur's lifestyle, but also your personal one as well. Yeah, very, very powerful. Thank you very much, Chi, for that. Yeah, so we have a lot of young listeners out there, or even perhaps entrepreneurs who are 30 plus, right, who are still worried to take the very first step. So what would you say to someone, right, who are, whether is it their early 20s or late 30s, right, who are facing self-doubt in pursuing their entrepreneurship dream?
Whatever you do, you need to be confident. And then if you have doubt, you really need to clear your doubt. So it's like, if you know that you are weak, like for example, when I want to start business, I know that in order to start my own business, I have to be a salesman.
Right.
Okay, I must be able to sell my services. So if you think that you can't do it, then you really need to gear yourself up, to train yourself up in order to do whatever you need to do to make your business a success.
Right.
So that's where I say you really have to push yourself out of the comfort zone, right? So when you're not ready, you may engage in small activities, that actually train you up for it. Because when I was in my younger days, I joined organization like Junior Chamber, all these. All these platform are organization that actually train up young individual
Oh,
who
wow.
wants to in future maybe become an entrepreneur. So maybe they have activities like you organize an events. Okay, but so through the events you need to do your own fundraising. Maybe you have a seed capital to start. Then you need to think how to raise your fund, how to earn an income. Then at the
Yes.
end of the project, whether there's a surplus or there's a loss. So these are small little training that you can go through in order to gear you up in the future when you really come out and start your business.
Ah.
Yeah.
So with that said, right now, right, if I have to turn time back
Mm.
to when you are 20 years old,
Mm.
what would you have done differently?
What would I have done differently? Okay, actually, CFO is not my first venture. So before that, I have a few other venture which did not work out well.
Uh-huh.
So how would I have done differently is that maybe if I'm younger, so youngster being youngster, sometimes you're more gung ho, you never think properly, or you're not mature enough to deal with things. So because of that, some of my early venture didn't work out.
Right.
So if I can go back in time and equip with the same experience and knowledge I have now, so most probably I will do it differently and have a different outcome with those venture.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So with that covering the past, now I want to cover the future. Okay. But that said, I want to tap on your expertise in the accounting and finance field, right? What do you think the future of finance and accounting services will transform to, right? And is it something that maybe the young entrepreneurs can tap on these opportunities?
Well, I think right now with AI coming in, definitely, for accounting processes and all this, AI will play a big part because previously with cloud technology coming in, I think the way we have done things 10, 20 years back is very different from what we have now. So in terms of accounting services, we also need to evolve because last time we just need to know how to do data entry, churn out the report, and then that is good enough.
Right.
But I think right now we are way past that already. So right now a lot of automation. So by doing data entry is not enough, and probably data entry work will not be there anymore in the future because everything is go by OCR technology.
Yes.
So gaining the experience of how to analyze a set of accounts become extremely important. And for accountants, to understand the business of your client is very important, and how to relate the financial information to the business to be able to give the entrepreneur a more productive, a more sound advice. I think really we have to elevate ourselves to that level to in order to stay relevant in this profession.
Yeah, so there you go, ladies and gentlemen, right? If you're listening to this, to whatever Just Chi just said, those are opportunities, those are the future or gaps perhaps, right? The industry that he sees, right? That maybe if you have opportunity or the expertise to look in, that might be your entrepreneurship journey. So back to you, Chi, right? In our show here, for all our guests, you usually ask our guests these particular questions. That is, if there's one word that you would like to give to all aspiring entrepreneurs out there, what would that word be and why?
Okay. I think I can't use just one word to describe, but
Okay.
I'll use a phrase. So actually this phrase was used by a chef, a celebrity chef that came out to start his own company. So when I was younger, so I was having a conversation with him. So he was telling me that if you want to start your business, you must be, I use it in Chinese again, 胆大心细.
胆大心细. So you must be brave.
You must be brave, you must be daring. But at the same time, you must have the eyes for the details. Whereby, so in this instance, it means that you must be bold in
Doing what
choosing
you
your
are doing.
path, doing what you are doing, but you must do it with a proper risk assessment, calculation. You don't just dive in without planning. What is your escape path? How are you going to sustain this journey? So I think that is where a lot of people jump in and they fail.
Right.
Yeah, because they did not plan about the sustainability. They did not plan about the backup plan, and then suddenly, the resources run dry. They say, "Oh, I got no choice. I got to go back to the workforce."
Too gung ho.
Yeah.
Right. So before we end off our whole show, Chi, maybe I would like to channel you to this camera over here, right? So if let's say you have any last parting words or last piece of advice for anyone out there, right? You can say to them.
Okay. So I think if today you want to start your own business, so apart from running your business, apart from making your month-to-month income, don't ever forget about the value creation part, because value creation. So today you are working for people. So today you walk away from your employment. I always tell people, you don't take a cent more, you don't take a cent less. You take what you are supposed to take. But then running your business is different, because running your business, whatever you earn on a monthly basis, the other part is that you are actually creating a value whereby at the end of the day, you are able to monetize it and earn a very handsome sum for your retirement.
Thank you very much, Chi.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen, right? So if you like this episode, right, do like, subscribe and share, right? And all the valuables and insights in terms of accounting and finance Chi has shared with us, right? Feel free to go and rewind. I mean, I'll probably watch this podcast 2 or 3 times to understand a few key pointers that Chi has mentioned, because as entrepreneurs out there, right, there are many things to take note, especially in the finance and accounting world, right? And should you ever need services like that, right, do look out for Chi. Details are all inside the comments, right? If not, then I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Hi guys, thank you for listening. If you like what you have just heard, follow us for more content like this.